Welcome to episode 28 of The Endless Stream, which is also week 1 of spooky season stream. I'm Aidan, and as usual I'm joined by Kevin and Brian. We are 3 artists, illustrators, filmmakers and just all-round shit talkers that are going to take some of the endless stream of content brought to you by Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Hulu, Spotify. Wherever you get your content, we're going to take a chunk of it, we're going to watch it, and we're going to talk about it. Given the nature of these conversations, they are very spoiler heavy. So if you haven't seen Hereditary, if you haven't seen What If you haven't seen Y the Last Man, maybe go check them out and come back to us. As I mentioned there, it is the first week of our Halloween series and we are watching Hereditary to sort of mark that. It's going to be a month of horror movies in here. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast, and wherever you listen, whether it's iTunes or Spotify, please give us a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe, comment, do whatever you can to just give us a little bit of support. That would be great. You can also follow us over on Instagram at The Endless Cast. There you'll find clips of the show and illustrations that we do to just add a little extra content, and we engage with the audience over there, so comment and leave us a message. Disagree with us, tell us what to watch. You can also send us an email, theendlesscast@gmail.com. So those are all the ways to get in touch with us. Those are all the ways to listen and support us. All that being said, let's jump into the episode. So this is week 1 of the Halloween series of podcasts where we're going to watch and discuss a horror movie each week. It's 5 weeks worth of podcasts in this month. So I think the Halloween theme is going to get its money worth. We watched Hereditary this week. That's been around long enough. I think this is, as Brian said, turning into make Aidan watch horror movies he's never seen.
It's what I've always wanted.
I did watch Hereditary. I feel ways about it. It's a movie that, with horror movies, I kind of think, Jaws is always my example where, I don't like horror movies, but if you get great actors, great filmmaker, decent script, and you make a great film, independently of it being a horror film, it's undeniable. It's good. I got sick to death of slasher movies in my teenage years where it's just 5 teenagers and we're just going to kill them all. Got it. Okay. Whatever. This is the type of thing that's just I saw Toni Collette and I went, oh God, this thing is going to be really upsetting because she's just amazing. She
sells that grief so well.
Oh God. But before we dive into my trauma, let's run down the list of things that we also have on deck. Brian went to see Bond.
James
We have
Bond.
Only Murders in the Building. We have Y the Last Man. James Bond. I threw a trailer in for a movie called Wolf. Did you guys get a chance to watch that trailer? You didn't.
I opened it and then we kept waffling.
And then there's another trailer for the new season of Dexter, or the Dexter Revival. Do you want to watch that trailer? Are you currently watching that trailer?
I'm currently watching it. I watched The Green Knight also, actually.
Oh yeah, damn! I want to watch that.
It's on Prime. There's still time.
It's on Prime now.
It is also in cinemas. Yeah, it's in cinemas and it's on Prime. I watched it on Prime.
Prime, and then Free Man.
Free Guy is on Disney Plus now as well.
Yeah, we already talked about that, though.
No, I think we
already talked about it.
Got to have a big discussion about it.
We can talk about it again when you see it.
I mean, just saying it's on Prime, or it's on Disney Plus.
So I threw the trailer there in for Wolf. When I saw it pop up on YouTube, the only other movie I know named Wolf is a Jack Nicholson thing from the 90s with David Hyde Pierce, which was just, Jack Nicholson weirdly turning into a wolf.
Oh, I vaguely remember that, actually.
This thing is, according to Wikipedia, it is an Irish-Polish drama written and directed by Nathalie Biancheri. It stars George McKay, Lily Rose Depp, Paddy Considine, Eileen Walsh, Fiona O'Shea, Lola Pettigrew. World premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival. It is the story about a boy, Jacob, who believes that he is a wolf, and it's set in a clinic which cures people who have this illness, which is called species dysphoria. They believe that they're an animal trapped in a human body.
In all ways except physical, I am a wolf. That's a meme there for 2 people who clearly don't know memes. Losers.
How are people meant to listen to this podcast if I zone out?
I don't know. You're the heart. You keep people in it with your...
Yeah, so put your phone away, you piece of shit. And show up. Show up. God, he goes away for 1 week and he comes back with his fucking attitude, and it's just
that's projecting. That was you after Italy.
No, I'm still like that. That's why I said it.
Oh,
so I'm still salty.
I'm not. Italy.
So this movie comes out December 3rd.
Christmas.
It looks cool. Like it look cool. It's interestingly shot. The physical movement stuff the guys are doing, like that quadrupedal stuff, is really interesting to me.
Called crawling.
Crawling.
I'm sorry, I threw it off.
Yeah, completely. I don't know. It looks interesting. You know.
It do. It looks like a film about the guy from the meme that I referenced that you didn't get, and the woman from Glow.
Ah, yes. Okay.
That'll be my pitch.
Right. I was watching it going.
That's two people that think they're wolves. For anyone who didn't know what I'm talking about.
I was watching it half thinking, you know, the way there are people that identify as
wolves
and animals. I was just like,
it's called species dysphoria.
Why is it always wolves?
It's a good point, Kevin.
In 50 years, are we going to look back at this as like a prejudiced look at species conversion therapy? Are we going to look back at this as like a really tone-deaf dismissal of a real thing?
We might.
Maybe. I suppose things like that have happened before, you know?
We're going to get cancelled then in 20 years when this conversation resurfaces.
Yeah.
I'm pro people. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm not.
Pro wolves?
I'm not going to say it's not a real thing because I don't understand the world anymore.
If this film is some tone-deaf analogy for, gender dysphoria,
then fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's always wolves.
It is always wolves, yeah.
People identify as wolves. Yeah.
That is interesting. Not dragons or tigers.
You know those people who...
Or kinkajous.
I'm a kinkajou.
Do you know the way
Yeah,
people...
you
Do you know the way you're a kinky Jew?
You need to
He's a
spend more
kinky
time
Jew.
on TikTok. Put the Instagram down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
this is how you pick up a kinkajou.
I'm not on
I'm a
TikTok.
kinkajou, and that's how you pick me up.
Oh, yes. I saw that on TikTok, yes.
God. Do you remember 2020 when TikTok started? That's an oldie but a goodie.
In my day, I would say the people who wore t-shirts with like wolves sitting on mountains and the moonlight behind them and like Native American motifs and things like that. I kind of feel like they're the people who identify as wolves nowadays.
Well, I mean, there was a kind of like Napoleon Dynamite took a lot of that like aesthetic, and like it was that sort of kind of oddball demographic was associated with that.
Yeah, I don't think I knew anybody wearing that stuff ironically.
No, I think people wear it now, ironically, but those people weren't. Though I guess they sort of sincerely, ironically wear it. I don't know. Look, just head to toe black clothes, guys.
That's what I do. I think people nowadays just dress bad intentionally. It's like some sort of new style. No, I'm being serious. It's like kind of they're going back to like the...
Kev is just now confessing that he doesn't like what people wear and he doesn't get fashion.
I don't get fashion.
That's how this is going to sound.
But no, because I didn't get fashion in the 90s either. So, and I was alive then. Like I'm alive now.
How old were you in the 90s? 1999, how old were you?
11?
Yeah, see, fashion's not for you at 11.
Yeah, but you know, like everybody looked like they were coming off of heroin. It was a look. It was like a high fashion look.
Is that just a
just didn't
Monaghan thing? Athlone, sorry.
Monaghan.
Athlone. I got mixed up.
Don't be saying where I'm from.
Wow.
Don't be saying where I'm from.
Wow.
Who do I know from Monaghan? Oh no, I do know. I know who I know from Monaghan. Shout out to Mark.
Kevin's talking about heroin chic.
That's a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, okay, fair.
Twas.
Yeah, and I just feel like
on people that were doing cocaine and heroin.
Yeah.
I just feel like
shout out to Kate Moss.
I was thinking about her.
She's a long-time listener. 0-time caller. As of yet.
Yep.
As of yet.
She's listening.
Her lawyers will probably get in touch first, I'd imagine. For the cease and desist.
Just to arrange a call.
Yeah.
Complete non sequitur and probably cutting Kevin off. I've got to the point in Spin City.
That's not a bad thing.
Please do.
I've got to the
Oh,
point
not for
in-
Sin City though.
I've got to the point in Spin City where Michael J. Fox is dating Heidi Klum. Heidi Klum, the supermodel, features very heavily in this show.
And is she playing herself?
Yeah. And then was it Elle Macpherson was in Friends?
She's playing herself. Yeah. Jesus. Elle Macpherson was playing a model, but she wasn't playing herself, was she?
Heidi Klum is playing the model Heidi Klum, and Michael J. Fox is trying to get headlines with her, and she dumps him.
You know what? Like, that isn't out of the realm of possibility in New York, I guess. He'd be a sort of like Rahm Emanuel type character.
He is a top level Manhattan politician dating a model. It's actually not unfeasible, but it was just kind of funny going, wow, there's a lot of Heidi Klum in this show. The last 2 episodes of season 3 are called Klumageddon, just to by way of going, wow, they really did feature this lady. And then they got rid of Jennifer Esposito. I miss her.
I don't know.
I miss Jennifer Esposito.
She was proto Jennifer Lopez.
No, who's the other? Who was the lady who played Will Ferrell's wife and the other guys?
Eva Mendes.
Esposito was around before Mendes.
But you said she's proto Jennifer Lawrence. I think of her as proto Eva Mendes.
No, Jennifer Lopez.
Was
Jennifer Lopez. Proto Esposito was proto Lopez.
But Esposito was never musical or
neither's J-Lo.
But I think of because I think Esposito and Mendes got mixed up for each other.
You mixed them
I
up.
remember
I never mixed
somebody saying you're doing so well with that Will Ferrell movie, and she's like, you're thinking of Eva Mendes. Like they were getting each other's props there for a minute.
No, one's a movie star, the other's a TV actor who went away for a long time and then came back in a cop show.
Let's take this episode from the top.
Wolf looks good.
This is on you,
this
Kevin.
This is me. I wouldn't.
This is our Kevin.
Attention.
Yeah, he's got to be just chaotic enough for it to be kind of freewheeling, but also rolling forward. And I can't even remember the last thing Kev was talking about, but it didn't bring us to the next thing. It brought us to Spin City, and that's on Kev.
Yeah.
Kev, show up, please.
I'm so tired. I feel sick.
he talked about fashion, and that brought me to Heidi Klum.
There you go. It's Kev's fault.
There was another Dexter feature
I'm used
released. When does that show come out?
Maybe later this year.
Did you watch Dexter when it was on TV?
Yes.
I did. I think I skipped. I either bailed out on the last season or I skipped it altogether. I can't remember which. But it got really bad.
Yeah.
They only made 4 seasons.
Yeah. John Loco was the best.
Everything else we imagined.
I think we did talk a bit about this because I did love that show, but it reached a point where he wasn't making decisions that you could follow or get behind in any way. Every decision he made, you were just screaming, how would you ever make that fucking decision? And by the final season, the characters you actually cared about were getting completely shit on by his bad decisions, and you just couldn't care anymore because you're just watching an idiot make bad decisions and fuck up the lives of the characters you actually liked.
Yeah, I watched it. I never loved it, but it was like a regular thing that I looked forward to watching, but I never really loved it. A lot of dodgy performances in it. It was only ever interesting when he was chasing an interesting killer.
Yeah.
The guy who played Dokes was so over the top.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And his sister, I think I read a couple of times that she intentionally did the swearing.
His sister wife?
She sounded awkward swearing that much, or the writers let her down, but pretty much everybody else outside of Michael C. Hall in that show was pretty weak.
I liked Deborah as the sister, and I didn't. I enjoyed the swearing because I'm a simple boy. I thought, I was watching going, she's making right decisions and she's getting shit on by this show. And what happened to that character in the end was like, it's fucking 10 years later or something at this point. Like, I can just go, like, they killed her very unceremoniously and her brother dumped her off a fucking boat in the harbour. And it's like, this is grim, and it's a real kind of upsetting ending for a character that we loved for 7 seasons, and we did.
They could have done that and pulled it off in a better way. In that, it could have been about the fact that Dexter's always just been a monster that is, been harmful to the people around him. If they had led the story to that, but instead it just felt like they were just casting off things that
they're just trying to wrap everybody's story up, just like that ends that way, and that ends this way, and that ends that way, and then he's up in a fucking hut somewhere. Like they just try to get everybody. That was always the problem with it, was that from season 1 you saw it. Like, we've painted ourselves into a corner in episode 9, episode 10, Deus Ex Machina, everything works out. So and it would always be a massive cliffhanger on the end of 9 that was resolved in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the episode, and the rest of the episode was just packing everything away. That they got better, culminating in season 4 with John Lithgow, which was perfect. That's the perfect season of Dexter. And then everything after that, I think, did they follow John Lithgow with Johnny Lee Miller?
I think so.
Those two things. Sorry, Johnny, but that's a big...
I was watching Elementary this
steep
week.
Drop. I fell off of that after the second season, I think.
Yeah, I just jumped in on like season 4 or 5.
Remember when we said Kevin wasn't delivering in this episode? Mm-hmm. For the listener, Kevin silently just left a while ago.
He just walked off. He's had enough. Did he leave his headphones in? We talk shit about him, or we say nice things about him.
I think he's got, his face is great, isn't it? Just so much character.
I miss him,
and he's such a kind human being.
Anytime he's not around, people should be saying, "Where's Kevin?"
Kevin can fuck himself, and that's a feat.
Kevin?
I mean, that is a physical feat. It's impressive.
He can do it with his feet too. That's a feat.
I was delivering something else. I'm sorry.
You on 2 podcasts? Does he duck into another podcast? I want to see the camera feed of that, where Kev just walks off my monitor here and he walks onto a monitor somewhere else.
Delivers a very rapid Alex Jones-like rant and then comes back to us here. It's very different in different shows.
Brings a different energy. Yeah. When he needs to get one of them off, out of himself, he walks into the other podcast.
Is it Lizzie McGuire?
Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana.
Kevin
puts a bald wig on, goes off and rants about immigrants, and then comes back here. It's all nicey nice.
What if literally behind the camera he's got another monitor set up where he has a podcast talking about how this podcast is going in real time?
Oh God, guys, this podcast is bombing hard.
This isn't bombing.
Yeah, okay. Well.
So when I say something, it's bombing, but when Kev is a non sequiturs, it's
gold.
It's gold. I see how this works.
I don't know what non sequitur means, but first I was away last weekend. That's why I wasn't doing the podcast, right? Kind of just like getting up in the morning, doing bits and pieces. We were going to a christening and stuff, and I had the TV on, and then we ended up having breakfast and stuff. We started watching a little bit of Fair City.
Right.
Fair City. Like, I know it's people's jobs and stuff.
Careful now. Go on.
Guys, it's not good. It's not good.
It's brutal.
Do you know that people who write scripts for an episode of Fair City get anything from $1,500 to $3,500 for an episode?
I went on a date with somebody who wrote.
I know somebody who writes for Fair City. So careful now.
I'm not going to be careful. I don't need to be careful because
Don't be careful. Go for it. Don't be careful.
Yeah, fuck RTE. But I'm paying fucking
tell us how you
TV
really
license for this bullshit.
Broadcaster.
But fuck him.
I'm a big fan of RTE. Thank you so much for your support. Historically, we look forward to pitching projects to you. I think we could get this podcast onto the RTE radio.
No, because RTE wouldn't like us, and we'd have to go work for Channel 4.
Radio broadcasters make a lot of money.
Yeah, but like nepotism in RTE, it's a thing.
Anyway,
this isn't great. Actually, you can cut this out, Aidan, because this probably isn't good for your career. but go back to Fair City, right?
I'm
scriptwriters for scriptwriters for Fair City. Yeah, they get a lot of money. Actors that show up in the set and stuff to do a day over there can get like €460 for it, right? One episode of Fair City costs about €55,000 to make.
Sure.
Last year there's 100.
That's not a lot.
198 episodes.
That's not a lot.
it's a lot when you look at Fair City. It's like, where does that 50,000 odd go? Last year, they spent more than 10 million on it.
Sure.
Fair City is not worth 10 million, lads.
That's one episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
You know what, though? It's enjoyed by the masses. Fair City.
You think people aren't watching Fair City?
Not a lot of people. Not enough people to warrant spending 10 million on it. And I'll die on that sword.
On that hill.
Either or.
You don't tell me where to go, Brian.
You get up on that hill.
RTA have a...
I'll get off. I'll get off this horse. And I'll kill you.
RTA have a limited budget to spend as best they can.
Why don't you come over here and say that to my face?
It's very easy for us to snipe
What?
at
Go
the
on.
job that RTE does.
No.
It's a very hard job to do.
No.
55 grand an episode, is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's not a lot. It really isn't.
No, it's too much. It's too much. I'm not here for it. 10 million. I pay my TV license because I have to, and I don't even watch fucking TV stations or anything that I stream everything. I know now it's a multimedia device license or whatever. Yeah. Fine.
He's not wrong. He gets to have a say because he pays. He's got a license.
I don't disagree.
Yes.
I mean, the everybody should have their say, and it's a public service, so we do need to discuss how the money is spent. But Fair City.
The thing is, like
is comparatively a low investment, high return production.
It's not so much the cost, though, right? I think the thing is that it's a bad show, and they just sort of churn it out, and it's not like 50 is cheap, but also make a better show. Yeah. It's just trying to do its own version of a UK.
But you know what I would, you know what, like
it's just not.
I wouldn't
good.
even mind if Fair City downscaled and became like a 24 episode thing, and they aired it like. Did they do that, or is it run all year round?
Well, you see, the thing is this, and this is I'm loving this conversation because there's so many aspects of this. Because as a member of the public, you're 100% correct. We do need to hold to account where this money gets spent, and we do need to push them to make better things. On the other side of it, if you think about that, yeah, if they were to knock that back to like a 24 episode season and really work on it, fucking great. It might stand up better for it. But your cost is going to go up, and the cost of getting another show off the ground once that season is started in terms of set and crew and cast and post-production services is going to balloon hugely, because you need something else for that other half of the year. Because we don't have Fair City on.
But you know what though? That's kind of okay. Because I think it's quality over quantity to a degree, you know?
But their argument would be, if you want that quality, we need to raise that fee because we're going to spend the same amount of money making 24 episodes, and we need more money to make another thing.
I don't think it's an issue of quality necessarily. I think it's the subject matter and what the show was about.
It's bleak and it's depressing and it's awful. I'm not gonna necessarily shit on any of the actors in it, because honestly, people have made like livings out of it. It's been, it's led to bigger careers and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's important that Ireland does have its own type of show like that or something. However,
I don't think it's necessarily important that we have a fucking soap opera.
Not necessarily.
Cancel
I
the
know what you're
thing.
saying.
Like we had Glen Rowe and the Reardons and everything else. Yeah. Both of which my uncle was on. And my dad was in there.
Glen Rowe felt like higher quality than Fair City.
Glen Rowe was seasonal as well, though, wasn't it? And that was only on Sunday.
I think so.
It was only on Sunday nights as well.
It was only on once a week, though. Yeah.
Was Ballykiss Angel an Irish or an English production?
It was joint, but it was mostly BBC.
That was good. But no, not to digress, right? But just talk about.
I think it was BBC, but it was mostly UK. Sorry,
no, just not to digress too much, but I'm just saying Fair City, right? Like 55,000 per episode, 198 episodes last year, right? Like
which is a lot of content for nothing.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like realistically, they could even if they spend 4 million or 5 million on it, half those numbers.
But this is the thing: how many good episodes are in there? It's just filler.
Well, I know,
it's cheap and it's filler.
I know,
but shouldn't they also be making
Emer's granny
stuff
gets
that,
bored of it and then
for
stops
that much
watching
money?
it.
Shouldn't they be making something that I want?
Sorry,
Yeah,
Kevin, do you want to repeat
like,
that? Sorry, just so we're not talking over each other. Do you want to repeat your sentence there, Kevin?
I was just saying, Emer's granny, who's 92, watches it and then dips in and out and gets bored of it. Like, I don't know who the show is for.
My folks watch it because it's on and they don't like it.
Yeah, neither do my folks.
Can I tell you another aspect of this that I'd have to double check on, but I'm pretty sure there's an element of? There is a political mandate that RTE produce X amount of hours of Irish homegrown made content every year. I'm fairly certain that's a thing. And for the low cost of 55 grand for a 30-minute episode, which is nothing, they are meeting that mandate.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not, whether or not that needs reform.
That's a cop-out. Okay. Fair City is not a representative of Irish culture.
The most bonkers off-the-wall show, and people would still watch it because it's the thing on before or after the news. It would serve the same purpose, and it might be more interesting. But instead, it's about a little village in Dublin where there's a pub and a shop and something else.
Depressing cafes and depressing businesses with depressing business owners and like and ropey crap fucking drug dealers and all the fucking nonsense. Drug dealers having open conversations in cafes. Get the fuck.
But there's an element as well of like
ridiculous.
We are such. I love Ireland. I love the people of Ireland. Before I fucking say this, but there is an element of we are a little bit parochial, backwatery in many ways as well. Where the minute we put something on that's a little bit fucking challenging, you have someone's granny down the back of nowhere who saw it on RTE and writes in a letter of complaint. And RTE is so accountable that they actually have to respond to these.
Let them. They're not accountable. This is exactly the thing. They're not.
I think they feel accountable
because we don't like Fair City, and it's still
but
on
Fair
the
City
air.
doesn't push any fucking buttons.
I've written so many letters. You've no idea how many letters I've written to them, and they've ignored them.
For God's sake, show Martyrs at 8 o'clock, please.
They can do what they want.
I don't want to watch Fair City.
I recommend.
Want Martyrs.
I recommend getting rid of Fair City.
Pre-Watershed Martyrs. Do it, you cowards.
Yep.
Go ahead, Kev.
Stop paying Ryan Tuberty.
I'm devil's advocating. I'm sitting on the fence. When I see the money that certain Irish television or radio presenters get, I also go, Jesus, yeah. But the thing is that RTE is dealing with the fact that creative people in this country do know that if they want actual broader successful advancement, go to London, go somewhere over there, like
Zig and Zag.
Like Zig and Zag. The
Rubber Bandits.
Like Darragh O'Brien, like Terry Wogan, like
Graham Norton.
List Graham Norton. I mean,
Jimmy Carr.
Well,
he's from Limerick.
Like I was dipping my toes into the Irish comedy circuit a bit before the whole pandemic end of things, and I heard from a number of people that like this is just a pastime that I have to almost pay to do if I don't want to move to the UK. Like, not that I should be paid for fucking anything, but like I did an improv show somewhere and it's like, here's €1. And it's like, that's your gate. That's the gate. That's your cut of the gate. And it's like, right. So nobody's making money doing this. Unless you get fucking... Did
someone really give you €1?
Yeah, because that was the gate. They like that was fair, equitable distribution of what was made that night. And I was appreciative of it and I was like, that's great. This is a nice little system we've got and it's a wonderful community that's being built.
Well, you're semi-professional then.
It's just a tosser in a fucking upstairs room in a bar, shiting around the place. It was good fun.
It was actually a basement.
But no, this was a different location. I've been to 2 locations.
You upscaled to
above ground
floor. Oh.
He went to a second.
I leveled up.
Never go to a second location.
Very fancy.
With an improv.
Yeah.
Well, we were pretending that it was above ground.
Oh God, improv's the worst. You have to stop pretending once it's over. But
like
all I'm saying is right. Of course RTE is important in terms of like being our biggest TV station, whatever you want to call it, network, right?
Sure.
But stop it.
The amount of complaints they got after Normal People and the first couple of episodes of Kin is funny. And it's funny that I know about it, because I'm sure that happens in larger countries and larger demographics, distribution, or what's the word I'm looking for?
I would say the success of normal people far outweighed any of the controversy.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just funny that we actually hear about someone's granny giving out about it. Like, it's after the watershed. If you don't like it,
'cause
turn
it's
over to the
publicity.
fucking
I
Angela
know.
Sun.
I know Normal People was filmed in Offaly or something. I don't know. Sligo.
It's set in Sligo, I think. I don't know how much of it was
But,
shot there.
But like, I don't know, like RD is basically just like Dublin, and then that's it. And then anything outside of it is like the sticks.
I don't
and
think that's fair.
It's cringy.
it's nationwide in Fair City and the news, and that's it. There's none in between. Oh, I meant in terms of how they represent Irish society.
Yeah.
Ear to the ground, nationwide.
They are
Fair
good
City.
people doing their best
That's
in
your lot.
very arduous circumstances.
I think new blood, sacrifice the old gods, get new people in, bring RD 21st century.
Let it die. Kill it if you have to.
Yeah, there's too much nepotism. There's too much fucking patting backs and fucking hand jobs on the table.
Nobody's patting my back.
But you are getting hand jobs on the table.
But you're getting the under the table action, or
Only when I find time myself.
Oh,
You saw Bond, Brian?
did indeed.
yeah. Why don't the RD make James Bond?
God, can you imagine an Irish spy movie?
It seems like an easy move for them, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah, but to see exactly, Brian. But then Aidan goes, "Oh, can you imagine an Irish?" And it's just like, no. Don't say, "Can you imagine an Irish?" Can you imagine an RDE version of it, which would be fucking shite? Because RDE need to come out with a fucking Stone Age. I'm not having it anymore.
I did hear somebody say at one point that RTE make sure that they are technically proficient and at a world-class level in terms of their production values, but aren't particularly courageous enough to take risks with that tool set. Is that that's me trying to phrase that as diplomatically as possible. They'll make sure that they have all the equipment, but they also then don't want to get in anybody's particular face. I don't know enough people at RTE. Anybody I've dealt with in RTE, anybody I've worked with in RTE, have been trying their hardest to make the best fucking thing they can in challenging circumstances. You know, and they're
Like,
on the chopping block from every direction. The public are annoyed with them. The government doesn't want to be paying them.
I've done, like, the thing is, I've done loads with people from RD and all that kind of stuff, and I know people who work in RD and everything, and lovely, fine people and all that kind of stuff. They're not necessarily the issue here and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I don't begrudge the actors in RD on Fair City, or like radio DJs or anything that at all. It's more just the kind of archaic fucking heads of the company that, like, they're still afraid to put like an openly.
But who
like,
are the
say,
heads of the company?
I don't know, fucking know.
See, this is the thing. We're talking about.
It's like the
I don't know.
TVA.
Who's the Luke Wilson on his jet
The
ski?
TV authority.
The RT.
Anyways.
The RTEVA.
Owen Wilson.
Oh, I always get those two mixed up. He's more of a Luke than an Owen.
I think Luke would be offended by that.
Luke.
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 I think I just got like Luke Skywalker in my head, so I always think blonde kid with a weird nose is Luke.
Owen Wilson has a lot of illegitimate children, apparently.
Does he?
Yep.
Well,
James Bond.
Or what would the Irish name be for it?
Bond.
Jamie. Bondo.
Seamus.
Bondo.
I don't think
Bondo.
like the fact that Pierce Brosnan is Irish Bond. Anyway, moving on. Did you enjoy No Time to Die?
It's fine.
Okay.
Say that backwards.
It's fine.
No, that was the same. I was
It's
forwards again.
very long.
2 hours and 40 minutes, right?
40 minutes. It's quite long. Looks really nice.
Okay, that's good. Is Roger Deakins back, or is it a different cinematographer?
I don't think he is.
Because he made Skyfall. He
but
kind of.
some-
I don't know that he made Skyfall. The
Yeah.
Mendes Deakins.
I love Skyfall.
He elevated it.
It suddenly the shots were just really striking. There's scenes in that are pure oil painting, you know.
And there's some lovely shots in this. There's a certain point where it kind of flags past it. It's a bit long. it's solid. It's a nice send off for Craig, so that's good. It's better than Spectre.
Okay. Spectre was just a bit flat.
Yeah, I would have said it's probably up there with Skyfall, but then it dragged on a bit. But for a while, it was probably as good as. Malek.
Sorry, I was
really
just reading through the Wikipedia here, and it's like No Time to Die features the Aston Martin Valhalla, and there's like a gorgeous looking. I say there's a gorgeous looking. It looks like a kind of mid-seat road race car thing, and I think I was talking to somebody about this a little bit. That like the fact that they feel the need to feature a new vehicle every movie is a weight around the neck of this franchise. Anyway, sorry.
But this is the thing, is that it, like my kind of thoughts on it is like in the build up to going to see it, and you know the conversation around like Craig's comments on whether a woman should play it and who's going to play it next. I was kind of realizing that like I was never a huge Bond fan.
I'm not a big Bond fan. I don't mind them; they're fine movies, but I'm not like.
I felt like I had to like them. That they were like kind of targeted at me, and like, you know, while I was kind of primary school into secondary school, there was a lot of hype because Brosnan was kind of becoming. So it was, a lot of the press over here was the fact that it was an Irish person.
Navan man done good.
Yeah, so like it felt like a lot of it was kind of pointed at me on two fronts. That
RTE showed James Bond Jr. a lot.
Oh, I do remember James Bond Jr.
Because that was made in Ireland. No one can stop him, but Scum always tries.
Was it really made in Ireland?
Yeah, I think Murakami Wolf, place that did the Turtles.
The Turtles was made in Ireland?
Chunks of it anyway, yeah. It's co-production.
Animated in Ireland?
Yeah, Murakami Wolf.
No fucking way.
I worked with somebody whose job it was to turn the nunchucks into like a stick or something. They had to... it was a rope with a grapple hook. Like because they had to
insane.
Like. Did you not
never knew that? No. Wow, and I went to animation college.
What are they teaching in animation college if you don't know that the Ninja Turtles was made in Ireland?
What are they teaching?
Yeah, I never knew that. James Bond Jr. That was Scum always. What was it?
No one can stop him,
but Scum always tries. James Bond Jr.
He learnt the game from his Uncle James. Let's not pretend. The movie, the show's called James Bond Jr., but James is acknowledged only as his uncle.
Yeah, he's got lots of cousins.
So go on, Brian.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that like, I felt like I was obliged to like it growing up,
fair.
But never really did. Yeah, never really did. I liked Casino Royale.
I like GoldenEye because of the game,
but that's probably mostly because of, you know, his tiny speedos and Eva Green and Mads Mikkelsen and parkour and Chris Cornell, which I'm kind of, I will say it's the best Bond song in a long time.
Chris Cornell one.
You Know My Name. It's a great one because the Adele, Billie Eilish, Sam Spade ones, they all sounded like you could change. It's not that I dislike them, but they're all hitting pretty much the same. They
slightly got it into their head of a form.
Same vibe.
Is Billie Eilish doing the new one?
Yeah.
And they released that like 6 months before the fucking film was supposed to be released in March last year. So we probably heard that Eilish song in the end of 2019 at some point.
And again, I don't dislike those, but they're just, they all kind of...
Adele did Skyfall, didn't she? I like that one though.
Cornell's one is genuinely good.
Can I just point something out as well back on the Murakami Wolf kick? Original release 1993, made by Murakami Wolf in Dublin. New Adventures of Speed Racer.
Nice.
I watched the crap out of that.
So yeah, like in 2006 when
I saw a thing about the new James Bond. No Time to Die. And actually, I didn't realize it, but it's kind of funny. But I don't mean funny as in ha funny. I mean funny as in interesting, strange. But people are advocating against it because of how it represents people with facial scars as villains all the time. And yeah, that's really true. A lot of villains in Bond had always had facial scars.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but this is the thing. Like, even in 2006, the character was in serious need of like reimagining,
Yeah.
and I think Casino Royale did that really well. But it's now 15 years later, and we've had
God.
Me Too and Brexit, and what does the character stand for anymore? Like, it's about nothing. You know, if you were to pick Batman or Superman, you can talk about what they represent. You know, whether it's hope or, you know, an ideal vision or vigilantism or, you know, what those characters represent things. Bond, for the longest time, has just been the most blatantly product placement vehicle. It's about the watch. It's about the car.
Sony laptop that he's working
lifestyle.
on, sending emails to somebody.
Yeah, it was this aspirational thing.
He was also kind of chauvinistic and misogynistic, you know?
But that's what I mean. And like, you know, I was thinking about the fact that even before we know that they're making a new one or anything, before there's any article written in like a trade thing like Hollywood Reporter or Empire or something like that, there's something in the red top tabloids about bookies are putting this odd or this odd on this person being cast. So whoever's producing it is really good at managing that side of the PR before we even know there's
the broccolis.
There's a conversation in tabloids about who's going to be the next one. There's this whole conversation. So that's how important the character is then as well to British identity.
That I was going to say. There's a sort of English cultural identity thing to making sure that the discussion continues.
You know, post Brexit, that like whatever they do next, whether it's a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. The character needs to be about something going forward. Otherwise, it's irrelevant. You know, it doesn't connect.
Yeah, actually start creating a narrative. Yeah,
the film starts and he hasn't been 007 for like 5 years or something, but he's still got a fully kitted out. Like, he's got an Aston Martin, fair enough, but the thing is like kitted out with, you know, smoke bombs and miniguns and stuff like that. And it's like, and then later he is in, they don't say where, but it's kind of somewhere in the Caribbean, I think.
Probably, I think they're in Jamaica because they made a point of that because Fleming's Goldeneye estate was on Jamaica.
Okay.
Where he wrote a lot of the books.
But he is no longer, you know, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, and he's got this ridiculous like villa, and it's like,
yeah,
colonialism.
How? Where's the money? He's a civil servant. How much is the civil servant getting paid to do this stuff? Like, there's the character is, I don't think it's appealing anymore as a kind of a aspirational, vicarious lifestyle thing. It's just so not relatable anymore.
I don't think it is anyways. But James Bond was a character that kind of just like, you know, and I guess I never watched more of them. I don't think I've really watched any James Bond movies other than the one with, oh my God, why is this? The name of it escaped my head. The voodoo priest.
Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die, was it? Oh, I can't remember. But Pierce Brosnan's
That's
one.
the first Roger Moore one, with Jane Seymour. And
I just remember seeing him as a kid and thinking that character was awesome.
Yeah.
But I thought he looked badass. But no, I was gonna say, like, I watched Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig's ones, but I can't really say like he like Brian was saying, like friends of mine loved him and would know everything about James Bond. Just wasn't somebody I was particularly interested in or attached to. But like, I just think I think the fact that there was like a new Bond girl every movie, a new, like as Brian said, the new car, the new Bond girl, the new phone, the new this, the new that. It was just a little bit. It was so formulaic, but it wasn't really achieving anything like.
Yep. It's
villain. Bond girl, kind of just a bit naff, but I even knew that when I was younger, you know.
And it's kind of interesting as well that Casino Royale did such a good job of reimagining him, and grounding him to an extent. Like Mikkelsen, I remember at the time being a bit disappointed because Mikkelsen he looks so much the part, and he was just a mathematician. And like I wanted him to be a Blofeld type character, but it actually, in retrospect, he works so much better because he's just a maths guy that he's been hired by, some criminals to kind of handle their finances. Whereas since after Quantum of Solace, which was a mess, I think it was the right direction to go with Bardem and kind of go a little bit more arch and supervillain a bit with it. But once they dipped into that, they were hitting the same note every time. Like Bardem and Waltz's characters are kind of interchangeable. It's the guy. It's the Joker kind of character. Then it's like he wants to get caught.
Bardem
in Skyfall.
Was Bardem? Oh, sorry. I thought you said he was in Quantum of Solace. Yeah, he was in Skyfall. Yeah. I remember him in Skyfall. I like Skyfall, but it does get Home Alone towards the end.
But the thing is, like
people say that, but that's fuck off. That's fun. Yeah. That end of the.
You could also say it gets Die Hard.
Being annoyed at the end of that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's not a criticism. That's not a criticism. Yeah. I just kind of preemptively say it.
People do use that to criticize it.
Yeah.
I do remember people saying as well that at that point, like, they had kind of placeholdered in the script there that the guy who ran the house would be Sean Connery, but it didn't really work out.
Yeah.
Which would have been nice.
It would have been more stunt casty than anything. Though.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have added. It just would have been nice.
It'd be a bit like, when an old Doctor Who actor pops up in an episode of Doctor Who, it would have just been the little, like, two guys looking at each other with a little cheeky wink,
No, I don't know.
Don't watch Doctor Who?
No, I don't watch Doctor Who.
You should. It's good fun.
No, it's not. Strongly against it.
RT should make their own Doctor Who instead of their own Fair City, their own EastEnders. Imagine if every night of the week we had a Doctor Who type show instead of Fair City.
They'd probably call it something
I do wonder
Dr.
now.
Hugh.
I like, as we've gone from that end of the conversation, like, I really do want to check how much of it is meeting a requirement of X amount of hours of Irish produced content at the lowest feasible budget, so they can put the rest of their money wherever they want,
Yeah, but also
in their pockets.
Just write about something other than a cafe and a pub in a little village,
But, and drug dealers.
That would require building a third location.
But just right.
The point is as cheap as fucking chips.
It's not the locations. What I'm saying is that they write stories about people in these places, rather than compelling drama. Anyway, back to Bond.
Yeah.
Back to Bond.
I get Craig's comments about it shouldn't be a woman or whatever, but I think what he's missing in that then is that
he said it shouldn't be a woman. I didn't see that.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a bit of
point of like, let's just write some really good characters for women.
Yeah, I think the thing
rather than trying to.
I think the thing he's maybe missing is that the character represents a platform, because basically, if those same producers went away and made something about a female spy, it would just be Atomic Blonde, and would people go see it? And the thing is, you almost need to attach the name to the thing to get people interested.
Yeah.
So it's not about
or maybe
it's a platform.
Introduce a good character. Yeah, maybe introduce a character into the James Bond platform.
Well, they did. It was Jinx. It was Halle Berry.
Well, no, they do it in this as well.
But
there's a
spin-offs.
They've been trying.
Yeah,
they have been laying that groundwork. It's just never come to fruition.
Yeah, they've been.
Sorry, Brian.
They're testing the water again with that concept. There's I can't remember the actress's name.
Lashana Lynch,
or even the character's name. She's 007 while he's gone, and then they have a little kind of rivalry about who should get the code name, and they're very much testing the water to see if she's popular, they'll go ahead and just make her 007. And
why not though? Like, kind of, it's a title.
I think
I hate the way people are so. Sorry, Ryan.
No, go ahead,
No, I was just gonna say, like I can honest God say this sincerely, like, even without this, the world moving the way it is and all that kind of stuff. But I never got this, like, kind of male attachment to Bond having to be a man. Like, I never understood it. To me, it was just like, you have something that's really special here, or really cool, as in, like, it's a title. You can have, like, so many, like where you have Star Wars Visions. Why don't they do, like, 007 movies where it's a story of just a random agent going against the odds?
They've thought about it.
They've tried like
There's even been a theory that ran around for a while that James Bond is the code name and that it's a different person and that's the assigned identity. So
that was a bit of a Max Landis pitch. I remember him pushing that in a podcast.
Well, he wasn't the only person. People have been suggesting it for a while.
The thing is, you're right there though. As you're talking, like if Lashana Lynch went on to play 007 and Daniel Craig made another James Bond movie, that'd be interesting. Now we've got two threads. We've got what does James Bond do in the same way that you have the unworthy Thor and you have the mighty Thor.
Don't think so because the character represents nothing. Why would I check in with the old dude at all? Like, how is it?
Why would you check in with James Bond?
Yeah, like what have they left to do with the character? I think bigger than who's going to play them next is the character's got to be about something.
Yeah. So just going back just a little bit on some of the stuff, it's like Halle Berry's character was definitely being set up as a spin-off. She was going to be Jinx. Felix Leiter has been a CIA character that's been around in like every goddamn movie. Felix Leiter's popped up, and there's always been this undercurrent of like, why are we not doing a CIA spin-off with Felix Leiter? You know, they have set up like Octopussy opens with 006 getting killed. Sean Bean is a 00 character in the opening GoldenEye. Like, this wider world is there. They've just never quite been able to expand into it a little bit, and it is partially, I think, down to like how weighed down with all of this fucking marketing and these signifiers of what a Bond movie is. Like, we'd need to have a car that we tie in with promotional productions. We need to have whatever.
It's got to be at least two women.
Yeah,
and a watch and a car and. Yeah. You
know, it is burdened by the weight of the form when it could strip way back and become kind of a cool spy thing. Like in many ways, kind of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is not everybody's cup of tea, but like that's just dudes walking around and the world is at stake again. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of violence or anything in that movie. I was talking, the conversation was going on during the week as well, like, who is the best Bond? And, like, I remember being a kid and just going, Sean Connery's the best Bond, because it's the one I saw the first time, you know? I think they all have something to recommend them, but the concept of there being a best Bond is just nonsense at this point. And if you want a Bond with any actual emotional weight to a character, it is Daniel Craig's. Well, that's what I was going to say. The only one that has any... I said this in my kitchen downstairs last week. What was brought to Casino Royale was Bond dealing with some of the emotional ramifications of the violence that he had to output. And the only place we've seen that previously,
at the risk of
being shit on,
a massive hipster, is I genuinely liked On Her Majesty's Secret Service before everybody else.
No.
No. What I'm saying is, no. I remember at least twice. I was thinking about this at least twice. I think like maybe once when I was in primary school, and at least once in secondary school. RTE did a marathon of the full thing.
Oh, they did it all the time, man.
Always. They alternated that. Me and my dad would watch it on RT, and then it would start on UTV. So we were watching Bond year round.
Yeah, and like I said, I felt like I was obliged to like it, and I would kind of check in every week and watch it. And I'm not saying this, I made a joke about sounding like a hipster, but genuinely the one that held my attention, because I was watching the other ones and I was just like in and out of the room while the TV was on. The one that genuinely held my attention for the entire run, and it had the best payoff at the end, was Lazenby's. And I said for a while I didn't say it because people were like, oh how fucking dare you, he's shit. And it's like, he's got one of the best movies. And I'm glad now people are actually starting to acknowledge that.
I have a question.
Is it, who is George Lazenby?
That was actually my follow-up question. Please don't cut into me again.
Apologies.
Don't do that. Don't do that again to me, actually. Please. Okay. Don't. Anyways. Sorry, Brian. Sean Connery. First James Bond.
Aye.
Followed by Roger Moore.
No, sorry. It was... No. Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Sean Connery, Roger Moore.
Was it?
Connery went away because of money. They didn't get on with Lazenby, and Connery came back because they paid him.
He also
And
did an
Lazenby is a good-
unofficial Bond as well, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Was that pre coming back or post coming back?
That was post coming back. So the thing
There's
is
an unofficial Bond movie, Kev.
the concept
but
the concept of Spectre was a co-creation between Fleming and this other guy for Thunderball, for the movie Thunderball. So when they had a disagreement, maybe it was for a book, but they co-created Spectre. So when they had a disagreement, there was a legal battle that said that this guy owned this aspect of Bond and MGM owned this aspect of Bond. So he had the rights to make as many versions of Thunderball as he wanted, basically. He could grow out and make his own Bond franchise. For a while, they were tooling up a second parallel Bond franchise because the rights were split.
Jeez.
And they weren't allowed to use Spectre. They weren't allowed to say Spectre for the longest time until the movie Spectre. Like, it took 30 years to settle that lawsuit. Anyway, sorry, you were saying, Kevin.
So, Sean Connery, George Lazenby before Roger Moore.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I didn't see that one, but my point was, I only read it, but it was just like so. Until like the other day, I thought it was just Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, and Daniel Craig. But there was two other guys who played Bond.
Say that to me again. Who did you think was there?
I thought it was just Sean Connery,
Aye.
Roger Moore,
Yeah.
Timothy Dalton,
Yeah.
Daniel Craig, and Pierce Brosnan.
No, there was George Lazenby then in the middle. He did one film, and people say it's crap and it sucks, and he was the worst Bond.
It's fine.
But the film, yeah, he's fine, and the film is as good. And it's like we were saying, it's probably they took a lot of what worked in that and used it for Casino Royale. There's good stuff in there. We can't talk about.
There was a guy called Barry Nelson who was in a TV show of James Bond before any of the movies, and it was an American like Twilight Zone type of like different stories each week, and they made a James Bond. And it was American. He was Jimmy Bond.
We can't talk about Bond without at least touching on the theory that Bond is based on Roald Dahl. You heard of this?
No.
I know that Fleming and Dahl were closely associated.
friends.
They both did stuff during
And
World War II.
Dahl,
Kind of
Dahl
intelligence
wrote
stuff.
Dahl wrote screenplays, some James Bond
Wrote
screenplays,
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
but he wrote some Bond screenplays. He wrote.
Did he?
Yeah, he wrote.
He did. I saw that name pop up on something recently. One of them. I can't remember which.
But he was also a spy.
Yeah.
And his job was to get close to a lot of important people's wives and stuff. So he slept with, but people will probably deny this, but there's stories about the fact that he was a spy. He was a pilot and he was a spy. And part of what he did.
This is Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl, who wrote yeah. So part of what he did was he
James and the Giant Peach. Am I right?
Yeah, I know who he is.
to get he's making an innuendo. You see,
Spies and bums.
spies and mums. Jake.
No, that went over my head.
Anyway, he supposedly
That giant
he
peach.
apparently slept with a lot of women as part of his work as a spy, and him and Fleming were friends. And apparently Fleming based a lot of Bond on Dahl, supposedly.
Were these women blind?
Why do you
I
think
don't know.
Roald Dahl was offensive to the eye?
Yes.
He's a reasonably good-looking young man.
No, I'm only messing. Although was Roald Dahl not a little bit of a dickhead to his family?
Ah, look, everybody's a
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know.
That's kind of like, and then there's a whole there's a Roald Dahl Square in Cardiff as well. Like that's interesting to sort of gone through that broad a life, in terms of.
Mm-hmm. He was a pilot. He was a spy, and then he was one of probably the most successful children's author of all time. Well, I guess not
love his
including
books.
Rowling. You'd have to include Rowling then as well.
Fuck her.
There's a young Roald Dahl.
He'd get it.
That man would get it. Am I right?
He'd get it. Absolutely. Name's Dahl. Roald Dahl.
Oh no, that actually works.
That works very well. It's the one syllable. You need one syllable.
No Time to Die, go see it? Don't go see it?
If you're a Bond fan, you'll probably like it. It is too long. I would have said it's as good as Skyfall, but for the fact that it's quite long. Some lovely cinematography. Anna de Armas is in it for a brief bit in Cuba, and she's tons of fun. Everybody's great, like kind of, good in it. Malik doesn't really register as a villain. He's there at the start, and then he just shows up again at the end. He's not really there.
That is kind of Bond villain fare. You don't see much of Dr. No. You don't see much of Blofeld. It's more the concepts that James is fighting with.
It is a very nice send off for Craig. So, it was solid. I'm not a Bond fan, but there's stuff in there to recommend. I think if you're a Bond fan, you'll probably like it, but for the fact that it's a bit overlong. But it is a very nice send off for Craig, which is nice.
Who has had a long goddamn tenure at this point?
15 years.
Is that the longest run for a person?
5 films. Anybody else done 5?
Connery did 6, I think.
They probably would have made him faster back then, though, did they?
7. Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, Diamonds Are Forever, You Only Live Twice. That's 6. And then Never Say Never Again, which was the last one.
Unofficial one.
All right, well, let's move it forward. The goal of today is to talk about Hereditary. I do want to get into that. We should touch on What If, though, because that has been our thread. Episode 6?
No, I think
7.
There's only one left, so
8.
It's episode 8.
Episode 8.
So, what if Ultron had won? What did you think of that?
Loved it.
I thought Ross Marquand does a very good James Spader impression.
Okay, I was literally polar opposites on that. I thought it was a horrible James
I thought it
Spader
was great.
impression.
There was sometimes I was like, Jesus Christ, he sounds so like him.
Okay, we disagree on that one.
Without
I was
being
there going,
too like him.
yeah.
I thought he was...
There's a rhythm to Spader. I think maybe the tone was correct, but he didn't have the rhythm, I think, of a Spader, but I might just be thinking of the sort of caricature to that man's...
I don't know. There's some lines that are kind of taken from Age of Ultron, and he's
nailed him.
He's nailed him, yeah. But anyway, that's not the most important thing about the episode. Why didn't Vision use the Mind Stone to slice Thanos in half in Wakanda? If that's a thing the Mind Stone can do.
Oh,
Why didn't he do that?
I think What If is a very broad, like, basically when you
that's not my biggest problem with it.
You have to.
That's just an observation. That's just an observation.
Excuse me. Can I finish?
No.
Can I finish?
No.
Well, if you stop whacking your microphone, we might let you talk instead of discounting all of the audio that's coming from that direction.
Yeah, stop hitting your microphone.
No one really wants to hear what I say, anyways.
What have you got to say, Kevin?
No, I'm not here for this, Brian. You can go to the dark corner with RTE, because I'm not here for it. There's What If.
Watch
right?
your tone.
Aye.
It's just
young man.
It's just look. Excuse me. Can I finish?
I've still got a bit of.
Look, can I finish?
Still got a bit of sunshine on my arms. The Italy hasn't left me yet, boyo.
I know. I just think I think you'll struggle to enjoy What If you kind of think about like.
No, that's just an observation.
The MCU, and I think it's just like
I agree.
Like if you kind of watch it like that, loads of plot holes.
No, absolutely.
So
that was just that.
Are you patronizing me, Brian?
No, I'm agreeing with you. Like I've seen people say like, but that didn't play out like this and that didn't play out like this in the film. It's like, yeah, because it's a multiverse. I'm just making the observation that it's interesting that the Mind Stone canonically has the power to take Thanos out like that. That's interesting. But that's not the biggest problem with
Paul Bettany's vision or Jarvis's vision would ever first respond in so lethal a fashion is basically what that boils down to. Whereas Ultron would, he just takes off Claw's arm without even thinking, you know?
Yeah, maybe Vision actually isn't capable. My son might be capable of it, but Vision is not.
Well, he's capable of it,
Vision-
but he would escalate to it rather than it being a first thought, you know?
The thing is,
Ultron there
cool
doesn't even
moment
see
in the
Thanos,
episode,
he just sees...
you know. So
Yeah. Ultron doesn't see the human or the sentient creature attached to those gems. He's just like, let's get that off of these, you know?
Yeah. Remember, I don't know if it's still canon in the comic books or it's a completely retcon or people don't acknowledge it. But when I was reading the Avengers in the 90s and stuff, Vision was Wonder Man's mind. Vision.
Yeah. It wasn't
was Wonder Man.
Jarvis.
No, he was Wonder Man.
Yeah.
And then Wonder Man was also Wonder Man. It was strange.
That's why it was
I used to-
interesting that
used to love Wonder
Wanda was placed in that love triangle between the two of them because they were both the same root consciousness.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought Ultron, Vision, whatever you want to call him in this Ultron, was
Ultra
fucking
Vision.
awesome. Ultra Vision. Is that what people are calling him?
I don't know, but
It's a pretty
Coined
cool
it.
name, Brian.
Coined it.
Ultra
Good job,
Vision.
Brian.
Yeah, you did a great job, Brian.
thank you.
Ultra Vision looked awesome. Except, my only qualm with this episode, I think, really, I haven't really thought deeply about it, is do you know the lights on the faces of the Ultron drones, whatever you want to call them?
Yeah.
They didn't look. Those lights didn't have a nice shape when facing forward. You know, it gave the heads a weird shape. But when they were up close to them and all that kind of stuff, and you could see where the eyes were, the kind of highlights on the head and the cheeks and all that kind of stuff, that was cool. But from a distance, when they're all approaching, those lights made those faces look a bit stupid.
Why did some of
cool
them
episode.
crawl?
Yeah, that's weird.
Because it's scary.
Yeah,
Because what
it
if
was stupid.
some Ultron crawl and it's scary?
Okay.
So the narrative that the Watcher is following sees Natalia and Clint trying to
Natasha.
find Natasha. Did I get that wrong?
You said Natalia.
Natalia. Natasha Romanov and Clint trying to find an alternative AI to pit against Ultron.
Yep. And they
That
find.
that didn't work.
Didn't work.
Didn't work.
It didn't work.
Vision becomes all powerful, chases down the Watcher, and drives him into the little like pocket universe.
Took a
with
chomp out of the galaxy.
Doc. That was a big head. I thought that was Galactus for a moment, but it took me a minute to go, oh, that's...
I thought all of that was pretty cool.
It's a fun montage. If you're talking about the design into things, I understood what they were doing when his like Ultron over Vision armor would come down and you could see the red of Vision's face serving to sort of fill out the red of what would have been Ultron's face. But I didn't think that was particularly cool. I just thought it looked like a big gap in his mask and he should have just brought the mask down and had a red light.
They definitely took a different approach with the animation though, because explosions, fire, smoke, all that kind of stuff, 2D animated looking. Had they been doing that this whole time, or was it more noticeable in this
a little
episode?
blend. Like especially in the Doctor Strange stuff, there was a bunch of stuff that was at least rooted in 2D, exploratory stuff that was sort of rendered up. So that Ultravision thing rolled in from Thor the Party Animal. Watcher now is with Doctor Strange corporeally. They're going to go and build their multi-dimensional Avengers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there only one episode left?
Yeah. They've cut at least one, maybe 2 episodes, which I'm curious what they
I
were
saw an
about.
article that said it's just one this week, so there's a delay on episode 10, I believe.
Really?
I wonder, is that because it has something to do with Eternals or Spider-Man? But anyway, 1 episode left.
One episode. It feels like there's a lot to get done in one episode.
I'm not engaged. Really. There was an early point where I was like, oh, I'm kind of interested to see where this is going. And then there was a lot of episodes then, like past the Star-Lord episode. A lot of the episodes took a long time just to...
That was episode 2,
wrap.
by the way.
Yeah. They took a long time to wrap. It felt like the story was just starting when the episode would end. And I'm just kind of not engaged because whatever happens next, it's presumably going to set up Strange or No Way Home. And I feel like I could just skip to that last episode and I wouldn't be missing a whole lot.
Yeah. I think it's another one that, like, remember when we talked
It's not that
about
it's
the
bad.
Murdoch
I'm just
show?
not
Like
engaged with it. You know?
If they dropped 10 episodes of this, we'd have just binged it and loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But the week to week, and also the fact that we're overanalyzing it on a podcast as well.
I don't think we're overlying. I'm just saying whether I'm enjoying it or not, and I'm not really. I'm not disliking it, but I'm not. Look, especially like when you compare it to the pack. Like I bring up these shows all the time, but Justice League Unlimited. I'd still watch that. That's a great show. I really love that show, and you know, I've even said like that the Suicide Squad episode of Justice League Unlimited should be a template for anything they want to do with that. Like there's fantastic stuff in there. So I don't think it's overanalyzing it to say that I'm watching a show with characters that I love that is tied into films I'm looking forward to seeing, and I'm a bit disinterested. I don't think that's overanalyzing. The analysis is in why am I not enjoying it, and I don't think that's overly analytical.
But I think there's a point that we come at these with an expectation that these are going to, in a broader sense, have some connection or some effect on a larger object.
I really haven't.
Whereas if we were to look at
I
it as
really
a
haven't.
tied-
It was only when I genuinely didn't think it was going to. It was only after seeing the first episode I realized, okay, this is connecting to. But it wasn't until the first episode came out that they'd confirmed that it was canonical. I thought it was literally going to be a what if, as in here's a separate thing, here's something for you to watch while you wait for a movie.
Yeah, it's just a bit of candy floss.
Yeah, but then it turns out, no, it's actually setting up this other stuff. I had no expectation that it was going to set things up.
Here's a question. Do we see that yellow jacket costume in the upcoming Ant-Man Quantumania?
Presumably.
Hank in that yellow jacket costume. Be cool.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, that's the kind of I was in somebody recently where I was like, I just liked all the yellow jacket stuff. That's probably my favorite part of this whole thing. I liked all the yellow jacket stuff, and more yellow jacket. Let's see the costume. It was badass.
I am now worried that you've made that connection, that they go to lengths to explain that the zombie virus is a quantum virus, and the next Ant-Man film is called Quantumania. I don't want zombies in the MCU. Zero interest.
Yeah, I think it should.
Keep that shit away.
We saw.
Anyway, Quantumania.
When's Ant-Man Quantumania out?
I think it's next.
2003 or something. 2023.
Is it 23?
Fucking hell.
Oh, it is. You're right. Yeah, it is a bit far away.
It is 23, I think. Yeah, it's a further away one.
Doctor Strange is March, though. That's not too long away.
What if I liked it anyways? And I thought seeing the Watcher panic was a little bit sad. I didn't like the Super Watcher armor, to be honest.
Yeah, that's canon though, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah, I like my Watchers in robes,
Toga.
falling off their shoulders,
Toga.
softly tumbling down their legs,
Standing in the other room,
Stop
other
again.
side of the room, just watching, talking about how it's longer from behind.
Yeah, that's what I like about my Watchers. But I thought a really good episode. I really liked it. Pretty devastating stuff, like pretty brutal. I'm looking forward to the next episode. That's my take.
Yeah, the thing is, like, this whole series has been anticipation for payoff, and we now have one 30-minute episode remaining to get some sort of payoff out of. Marvel has been doing a great job of just like edging us for a year.
Gross.
What does that mean?
Yeah, explain it to us now that you've said it. Yeah, explain it. Explain it to the child.
What does it
Explain
mean?
it. Explain it to that young boy over there.
One of you went, "The fuck is that?" and one of you knew exactly what that was.
I'm a man of the world. Of
Bringing
course I know
us
what it
to the
is.
point of climax without allowing us that catharsis, and then just letting it go back. And then,
You see, the thing is, he could have just said teasing. You know? It's called teasing. But he had to make it...
So it's nothing to do with sitting on the edge of your seat.
I mean, you could sit in the edge of your seat.
It's more about teasing your own penis.
It doesn't have
Or
to be
whatever,
penis.
whatever gets you off.
Or vagina.
Exactly.
Teasing yourself.
Or another
To the point
another
where-
person.
Yeah.
Or another person. Or persons.
Or persons. People.
Or
Him, hers. They, thems.
Ladies and
no,
gentlemen.
no. People. They fall under the people category, I believe, Brian. The wolves. Making the wolves climax.
Sorry,
Edging them.
sorry, what?
Look,
What?
WandaVision.
No. I want him to explain. What's he talking about?
You said people, and you can't say people because people who identify.
Well,
as...
those wolves. Gotcha.
Yes, yeah.
WandaVision.
They're still
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
They're still pronouns though. They're still him, hers, they, thems. They wolves. They wolves.
WandaVision,
Anyway.
Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, What If. Every episode over the last 8 to 9 months has been a cliffhanger and an anticipation and a waiting for something to pay off.
This is the
Have
thing.
we got any of that? I guess... Sorry.
If all of these episodes were eventually leading to this build-up, then that should have been running through the whole thing. Instead, we just kind of were like, yeah, we know where this is going. We're just waiting for it now to happen. I think that was a misstep.
Yeah.
I liked all of these shows.
I liked all of them as well, but like they
I'm
have
happy
been
for
very...
everybody that likes this. I am. I'm not being sarcastic. I am.
Okay, I think that's What If. Let's get into Hereditary.
Yes.
This is the endless spooky season.
Okay, before we get into Hereditary, I just want to say, Only Murders in the Building, the latest episode.
Brian, fucking stop it.
I'm going to do this the entire time. I'm sorry.
The latest episode, the first half awful, second half much better. I hope they stop doing this like random characters coming in, so giving them massive clues and leads to the next part, because it's a little bit like it was a little bit shit. The first half of that episode was a bit shit, but it's still a good show and I love it. Let's get into Hereditary.
Let's get into Hereditary.
I hate you both. I know that this was my idea. This like
I believe it was my
Halloween
idea.
fan.
I
film was your idea.
I had to make you think it was your idea.
The film was your idea, and
That's manipulation 101.
and
I
to be
know.
fair, people on Instagram.
Go on.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I was just going to say, let me just say this clean because I want to put this at the start of it.
Mm-hmm.
This movie was very effective to me, and part of that was because I knew nothing about how this plot would play out, and anything I had assumed from marketing or posters or clips that I had seen didn't play out the way I thought it would. So if you've not seen this and you want to watch it, for the like our ratings aside, go and watch it before we tell you everything that's going to happen, because I just didn't know what the fuck was going to happen next at any point. Anyway, moving on. I remember the trailer for Hereditary coming out, and I'm not a big horror movie fan. There are films that are made by such powerful creative teams that you can only look at them and go, that's going to be an undeniably great film that should be watched. I should make an effort to watch it, because like Jaws is one of these things, and Jaws is so tame by comparison now, but like it was, it's a horror film technically, and it's just made so well that it's just has to be watched. And the moment I saw Toni Collette, who is just consistently just a great actress who's done good things and has good judgment about the films that she puts herself in.
Muriel's wedding scared me.
What was it about Muriel's wedding?
That one lady gets paralyzed from having sex and falling back on her bottom.
Yeah, I
that is true.
didn't understand that when I was watching. I was like, I remember rewinding that, going, "What am I missing? What happened? What happened here?"
Yeah, scared the
What's
Jesus.
going on here?
I was
This
just
woman's
like,
in a wheelchair
I was
now.
like,
What's
it can
happening?
happen. It can happen just like that. I suppose it can though.
It can.
Also, I thought Toni Collette's name for years was Toni Colletti. And Emer thought the same thing.
Interesting.
And and like nobody, everybody else calls her Tony Collette. So
but I'm sure you would have encountered Irish people called Colette. No? Because that is a name you hear.
No.
Okay, just me.
I've an aunt called Colette.
I think one of my mum's friends or people she works with.
Uncle's wife, but
Colette.
aunt. Yeah. Your uncle's wives are aunts, right? We can all agree.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Was that up for dispute, Brian?
I don't know. Was it?
No.
Yeah.
But your husband's children don't need to be anything to you. Fucking pricks. Or indeed wives. Wait, husband's children do need to be something to you. Damn it. Your brother-in-laws? Does that make sense?
Huh?
Your brother-in-law's kids.
Tony Collette is very good in this film.
They're your cousins. Yes. Tony Collette.
Give us a quick recap for. I mean, we're gonna spoil this, right?
We're going to spoil the shit out of this. So just bear that in mind. This movie's from 2018. It is a much-loved horror film.
Give us a plot summary for anybody who hasn't seen it.
A must watch. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah. From the director Ari Aster, who is also responsible for Midsommar. This stars Tony Collette, Gabriel Byrne, Alex Wolff, Ann Dowd, and Millie Shapiro. Annie lives in a house with her husband Steve. I don't know if they're in that house or that is their house after the death of Annie's mother.
That's their house.
So the movie opens with the funeral.
Because her mother has a room, remember? You went, you didn't even acknowledge really what I was saying.
The mother has a room, but like you bring an ill parent to your house or you go to their house. I wasn't quite clear whose house that was originally because the mother seemed deeply ingrained into that building. You know, the mother had a room, the mother had engravings on the floor. And
that's mothers for you.
I don't entirely know how to describe this film. I don't know.
Scary.
Because
do you mean in plot summary sense or
plot summary? Do you want me to just laying out the plot? The family are dealing with the trauma of losing the mother. It's a sad household. Tony Collette's relationship is strained. The mother seemed to be manipulative, demanding. It seems to have been a very, very fractious relationship. So Tony Collette is dealing with, in her grief, how she should actually feel about losing somebody who was a very sort of...
and then things get spooky.
And then things get
spooky. The movie's about family, loss, grief, feelings of guilt when someone you should love goes. We can get paranormal.
Yes, so we can get into themes in a second. I'm just going to try and keep going with the plot because it's weirdly like there is so much to kind of set up to get to the plot of it. Her son wants to go to a party. He gets made to bring his sister, who is a kind of antisocial kid. I don't know what way I would describe this child and her social interactions or disorders or otherwise. She's just not good socially. Let's leave it at that.
She's allergic to nuts. That's what
she also has a nut allergy that is very clearly set up. Her brother tries to just fob her off at the party so he can go off and smoke weed with a potential girlfriend. The kid has a slice of cake, has an anaphylactic reaction, and there's a rush to the hospital.
Why? Like I don't blame I don't blame Peter in this at all. His parents should have given him the EpiPen and all that kind of stuff. Like, and like I'm being serious when I say this. Like, you know, in terms of like
that does seem like standard operating procedure for somebody with a lethal nut allergy.
Yes,
it wouldn't have mattered though because this has all been set up.
Yeah. Yes, you're right.
Has it?
The child unfortunately dies on the way to the hospital. This causes even more trauma, grief, friction in the household. And Tony Collette's character gets dragged into a kind of support group that puts her in touch with mediums, which manages to conjure spirits into the house, which leads to possession, and we find out is all part of a much larger kind of conspiracy in the local area. I'm trying to be a little bit vague because I do know that potentially people haven't seen this. I know that Cree might listen to this and she hasn't seen it. And based on what I was sending into that WhatsApp group last night, we'll probably not watch it. Because this film, I had bad dreams, boys. I had bad dreams.
You know what's funny about it, though, is...
Gave you nightmares. That's hilarious.
When
I had the nightmares.
I've watched it since, and on repeat viewings, it plays out like a black comedy to me. And maybe that's because you know how doomed people are in it. But I found it blackly comic when I watched it again, and I'd be curious to see if you would too. I think so much of what is upsetting about it is the tension, because you don't know where it's going or what's going to happen. The grief aspect of it is deeply upsetting.
Yeah,
that's worse than any scare in the film. Is her reaction?
The grief aspect.
Brian used to send me messages just going.
I think the grief
say it to him on the phone
is worse than any scare or gore in the film.
Yeah, of course,
it's
man.
Deeply affecting. And I think that's, on repeat viewing, then you're a little kind of desensitized because you know what's going to happen and you know where it's going, and so much of when it's playing out the first time, it's because you don't know what's going to happen next. But knowing where it goes, it's slightly less for me anyway. It was slightly less affecting, but not in a bad way. It was, and again, the music is just, I don't know, did the music register with you? But the music it's Colin Stetson, who you've probably seen music posters for gigs around the city because he's played a few times, and he's playing this huge saxophone that's as big as he is, basically.
Contrabass.
And it just produces this awful, fantastic sound, and that sound is just underneath so many scenes, and it is just unnerving, and it's excellent.
I think you're right about that. Like, when I think about when I was watching it, like, whatever physical trauma that might lead to death of any particular character at any point in it, I do remember thinking, oh, thank Christ, they're nearly dead. They're free from this.
They're free, yeah.
They're free from this.
It's over.
Oppressive existence. And the way that, like, her job as a sorry, let me think of the phrase here, but a
diorama,
miniature artist,
a high art miniaturist that exhibits her work is a ludicrous fucking job to begin with. But the way that the movie opens and brings us into this little dollhouse in the room, this artificial environment, and the way that the exterior shots have a tilt shift focus on them, so that we're looking at the big house, but it still feels.
Did you see all the
like
tiny people
small
outside?
Yeah, and you feel like this is just some fucking, everything that happens in here is being manipulated.
Setting stage, yeah.
Everything.
Why
that happens
did you
in the real
feel?
world.
Why do you feel like her house is, or her job is, ridiculous?
Because she makes miniature dioramas for a living, in an artistic skills. Like
there has to be people doing
it. There is. I can send you at least one on Twitter or Instagram right now that does that.
But
makes great
remember
stuff.
that there was a whole film. Excuse me, there was a whole film with that guy Maro or whatever, who after having suffered some head trauma, made like films and photographs of like action figures and war stories and all that kind of stuff. And he was in exhibitions and all that kind of things. So like, it's not Steve Carell was in the movie.
Yeah, Welcome to Somethingville, wasn't it?
Marwin.
Yeah, something like that.
Marwin. Welcome to Marwin.
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is like it's not a ridiculous job. Because people like art is one of those things that, like, abstract art, contemporary art, people don't like it. But if you show someone a really detailed miniature, 99.9% of the world is going to understand it and probably appreciate the amount of work and detail that went into it. So it's possible. I'm just saying it's possible.
Sure, yeah.
You're
I'm
ignorant.
just being glib. Okay. It's very much. It's
That's him
very
told.
much a structural device to help sell that the world they're living in is artificial and controlled. And as much as she's trying to exhibit control in her life, there's something bigger looking at her. It's great. The music is... Sorry, go ahead.
I have questions.
Go on.
But they're like kind of like plot questions, so spoiler questions. I don't want to run ahead of ourselves here, so I can save them to later.
No, I think I've run through the whole plot broadly, so let's just talk around it.
So the grandmother did some ritualistic satanic stuff on Tony Collette, and she was meant to give birth to a boy, but then give birth to a girl, and the girl was the wrong vessel, so they were going to pass the body or the soul onto the boy.
She didn't necessarily do... Now, maybe I missed that. She didn't necessarily do anything unholy to Tony Collette. But she created an environment which Tony Collette wanted to get away from, but when Tony Collette got pregnant, again, Annie, the character's name, got pregnant, she wanted to get near the child so that she could set up this possession. When that was impossible, she settled for the second child, who was Charlie, and Charlie said that grandmother wished she was a boy, and that's because the demon preferred a male host. Also,
potentially her father and brother killed themselves because she was trying to put the demon inside them. Very likely. So I think that there's a kind of theme then, to do with, not mental illness, because like not to kind of have a negative view of that, but there's an angle.
Menacide.
There's an angle where it's about like, the kind of toxic influence that, a negative person, a negative family member can have throughout a family dynamic. So not to say that there's anything wrong with the kind of illnesses that a person suffered, like her brother's schizophrenia and stuff, but the
being around someone who doesn't understand or want to understand is problematic for that person's mental health or condition.
And then how, you carry that trauma to your own family as well. It's an interesting kind of theme.
Yeah. The scene at the dinner table where Peter tries to sort of, I guess, I am your mother. What's coming from
it's terrifying.
Annie. But it's pure, like, it's not horror movie at this point. That is just pure... Oh God! Just fucked up family relationship issues.
It's awful.
It's one of the worst scenes in terms of like the effect it has on you.
He killed her daughter, and then she didn't want to go to the party, Mom. Why was she there? It's such a...
He can't forgive himself, and she can't forgive him, and they can't talk about it. And then when they do it, it just erupts in this scene that is scary. It's again, it's probably scarier than a lot of stuff that actually, the horror stuff, it's compelling.
I don't blame him, by the way. That kid is old enough not to do that.
Well, yeah,
the whole I just have this from the Wikipedia. The script reflects a real-life incident in 2004 in Marietta, Georgia, in which John Kemper Hutcherson accidentally decapitated his friend and passenger Frankie Brom on a telephone pole after the latter had leaned his head from the vehicle to relieve the symptoms of his inebriation. Hutcherson then drove home with Brom's headless corpse in the car and fell asleep until a passerby, walking with his toddler, noticed Brom's body still in the truck the next morning and notified authorities.
Yikes.
So, yikes.
That's brutal. Also, that scene in the movie is horrific.
When it cuts back to her head.
The whole sequence.
Oh, Jesus. When it cuts back to her head.
That's the first graphic thing in the film, and that shook me because it's been so muted up until that point, and then there's this stark image.
But you see, you get this sort of, this very, as you say, muted, safe, football bouncing off a lamppost kind of thing happens. But that moment is very affecting.
Yeah.
And then the shots of him just kind of looking up to the rearview mirror and then can't face it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he drives home and you follow him go and lie down in bed and you watch his face as the morning comes,
and then she screams when she sees
her
it.
mother.
It's brutal.
Go out to the car, and you just hear the screams, and the screams carry on through the funeral.
Yep.
And the crying, and it kind of just cuts to the head in the street with the crying still going on
with the ants.
It is.
It's amazing. Oh. It's amazing.
Jesus fucking! I think I'm changed.
So when I went to see this, I'd gotten lost up a mountain for a bit. We got lost in the fog. We got turned around. We eventually found a route back down, but it wasn't proper route. We were like off trail. We had dogs with us, so like I'm walking through this kind of dense bush where I can't see where my feet are landing, and I'm going off a drop of at least, at some points it was like 2 feet almost, and I'm stepping off that I can't see where I'm going. I'm walking through this massive bushes and hedges and stuff, and I've got the dog with me as well, and I can't leave her off the lead because there's too much kind of livestock and stuff around. So she's dragging me down a mountain. My knees are fucked by the time I get to the bottom of the mountain, and we're nowhere near where we parked the car. So I've been lost up a mountain, wandering in the fog and the rain with no food for a couple of hours, and then I'm walking down a mountain and my knees are in bits. So I'm physically and mentally broken, and then I went to see Hereditary. It definitely enhanced the experience. But so can I tell you about one of my top cinema experiences? And it was I'm sure I've probably told this before, but now that you've seen it, I can talk about it in a bit of detail.
Go on.
So it's the scene where Peter now wakes up, and we know a change has occurred, and we don't know what exactly. And in the background of the shot, we see a woman up by the ceiling in the corner in the shadows.
Yeah, and his mom.
She's like crawling. I saw it. I was with Podge. Podge saw it. The guy beside us saw it, and we all just kind of went like just a little kind of laugh to ourselves, and kind of like I looked at Podge, and the guy near us kind of saw us looking at each other, and we had this little moment of acknowledgement, but nobody else in the audience had spotted it yet. And it's just very quiet, it's very dark, and we're all sitting there waiting for her to move in the background of the shot, like crawl across the walls, and like the crowd's going to react. Because like they hadn't seen it yet. And then when she moves, she scuttles across the ceiling, and like, you know, most of the audience is kind of like, oh, you know, like a little quiet gasp and stuff. But a woman right at the back, it was just her last nerve just broke.
Oh, God bless her.
She just like the most defeated, broken, oh Jesus Christ, like just flat, no affectation, just done. But like it was after everybody else had reacted, and it was loud enough for the entire cinema to hear it. It wasn't like oh Jesus, it was just oh Jesus Christ, just it broke her. She was changed already, and she was done, and the entire cinema then laughed because it was just this perfect little kind of tension breaker to the moment. But everybody felt what she was feeling, but she said it, and it was hilarious. It was so good.
The moment. So I'm kind of connected to thoughts here watching it. Like the eulogy that Annie delivers at the start, where she says that seeing so many strange faces here today, like strange definitely has two meanings at this fucking point. There's a point where Charlie, during the viewing of the grandmother's body, looks to her right, or I think it's that scene, and she sees this man just staring at her with a smile. And you don't see that man again until he is standing naked in the shadow at the end of the movie, shit-eating grin on his face, weird fucking bleach shaved hair fucking look, just staring at the kid. And then the mother runs out of a corner that we hadn't seen her in before.
Yeah.
That was terrifying.
Like, you see her in that top corner, you know where she is, you know where Peter is in relation to it, then you see Peter's point of view and there's just a naked man staring at him in his living room.
I think
and it comes back to the wide and Toni Collette runs at him and you're like, oh my god.
I think the second most upsetting visual for me in the film then was when you just hear that. It's like, what is that sound? And he looks up and she's floating and she's cutting her own head off. I was like, what the fuck? She's back and forth with the piano wire.
Like chain or piano wire.
Oh. And it's just this awful sound that you hear and you're like, what is that? And he looks up and she's floating, grinning, cutting her own head off. It was like, Jesus Christ.
But there's the thing as well that scene plays on. First of all, that's a fucking... He gets up into the attic. We know what's in the attic in terms of bodies. Mm-hmm. There's the banging on the underside of it, and then it cuts and shows you that banging of her upside down floating, drilling her head into the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, she's actually now in the attic cutting her head off, which is a horrible fucking image. And they don't even need to... He fucking looks up and there's 3 naked people in the fucking room. He leaps out the window. And then you keep hearing that sawing sound until you hear a thunk of that body hitting the floor in the attic above you. You don't even see it. I hated this.
I genuinely... Give it a week, try watch it again and see...
No, fuck you!
It really is like a black...
Fuck you!
It is like a black comedy because the thing is, his fate is sealed so early on. And everything that happens... when you know what's about to happen, there's a kind of, well, for me at least, maybe I'm alone in this, but there's a dark comedy in the fact of where things go, and it's a happy ending in the end.
Fuck you!
It's a happy ending.
And what's funny as well is I had this thought as I was watching it. I was like, we've talked about this 3 different times, but I was watching it going, is that Margot Martindale? Or is that Anne Dowd? It's Anne Dowd.
So what I will say is Midsummer is nowhere near as upsetting. And it's very good.
Everybody says Midsummer's worse than
no.
Hereditary. I really don't think so.
No.
And because last weekend we were talking about it and somebody said, oh, Midsummer's way worse. And I was like, we watch different movies. No way.
Pete, I don't know if I told the story before. Pete went to go see The Hills of Eyes once by himself, and the lady at the ticket desk kept insisting. She was like, 2 for the money. He was like, no, The Hills of Eyes. She was like, 2 for the money. He was like, The Hills of Eyes. She was like, 2 for the money, which is the Pacino McConaughey sports agent thing, I think. And he was kind of insisting, no, I want to go see The Hills of Eyes. And he went and he watched The Hills of Eyes, and he lasted all of 10 minutes before he walked out and asked her for a ticket for 2 for the money. So Pete, even more so than you, Aidan, doesn't like horror movies, can't handle them. Pete went to see Midsummer with us in the cinema, and he was fine. So if Pete can handle Midsummer, it's definitely not as bad as Hereditary. So do watch Midsummer. It's nowhere near.
Fuck you.
Nowhere near as upsetting.
Part of this has to just be as well. Toni Collette just sells.
She's incredible.
The humanity and the urgency and that moment where Anne Dowd's character Joni meets her in the car park and is confronting her with this information, and as the blocking of the scene plays out, she removes herself from the shot and Annie is just left isolated and vulnerable. It's a really nice piece of staging of the performance as well. As that conversation goes on, Anne Dowd just removes herself from the shot. There's so much filmmaking in this thing, if that makes any sense, without being like ostentatious or being pretentious about it. Like when he did that.
was just calling it a dog. That's all.
Oh God, when Charlie is standing at the foot of his bed and she just lolls her head forward and they swap it out for the ball that comes rolling and then the hands grab.
Remember when he wakes up and he's covered in gasoline and she sets him on fire?
She doesn't.
No, she doesn't
do that,
no.
right? No.
She
sleepwalks. She tells a story of nearly doing that. She sleepwalks in and sees him.
She drops it in so
covered in
casually
ants.
as well.
And where she goes, "I never wanted to be your mother," and she goes, like that moment of like, "I never wanted to be your mother," and then catching herself and realizing what she said, and then that scene escalate. I don't know. There's some people for whom they will tell you the story of working on a set like that was traumatic and emotionally draining, and there's people who will go, "It's just acting. I just shrugged it off and got on with my day." I don't know. There are so many scenes in that movie where it's just like people must have been exhausted, just emotionally fucking wiped. Though he doesn't have an awful lot to do. I was very happy to see Gabriel Byrne.
Yep. He's a good presence in it. You know,
he's a good presence. Yeah. He serves a solid purpose. As a sort of stable, outside viewer to what this is, you know, because the son is just falling apart. Charlie's kind of odd, but he is this sort of kind of just holding it together figure. So by the time he breaks down, him watching the fight unfold at the dinner table, just seeing him like holding in his own desire to tell them to stop this, but realizing that they do need to sort of get some of this out, and it's just, I fucking hated this.
It's very good, right?
I hated this film.
Very good film. Cree should definitely watch it.
Can we make like the airplane version of this for Cree? just remove all of the scary bits.
How long would that film be?
It's about a lady that makes miniatures and sews doormats.
Finn. So you need, your homework now is to watch it again as a comedy and then watch Midsommar.
Midsommar I do recommend. It's good. Any of the A24 stuff.
Yeah. The
Green Knight is also A24.
Yeah. Which?
The Green Knight?
No, isn't there The Witch?
Oh, The Witch. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that A24? Is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's A24. Or sorry, I'm pretty sure it's The Witch, then Hereditary, then Midsommar.
Okay.
In that kind of way, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Witch is the one with the
Black Peter. Black Phillip, sorry. Black Peter is a Scandinavian thing.
Sure it is.
But yeah, it's the one
You know
with
what I'm talking about?
No.
Huh?
No. Black Peter is Santa's friend.
Yes. Yeah.
He's his helper.
Also, Midnight Mass is your homework. Gotta watch that. It's only 7 episodes.
So the recommendation is for our listeners to go and watch Hereditary if you haven't, or at the very least have hopefully enjoyed how uncomfortable I was watching it and recounting what I appreciated about it, even though it was a trauma that will stick with me. What will we watch next week?
Martyrs.
Kevin mentioned It Follows. I'm not doing another one of your fucking psycho. This is supposed to be fun. Can we find let's find a horror movie that like Halloween Town from the Disney Channel, where there's just like fun pumpkins and shit.
Oh, Brian. I know one, and it is actually a good one. I want to say, what's it called? Like, Don't Make a Noise or something.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I know what you're talking about. I don't want to watch that.
And it's the one where they break into a house of a guy who's blind.
Is that a horror film, though? That seems more like a kind of thriller.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Is it? Okay. What's the one on... I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. I keep forgetting the name of it. It's got Will Forte and Maeve Higgins. That's kind of good. Have you seen that yet?
Paranormal, yeah, that's very good.
Is it
No.
something paranormal? Something
No.
It's Obituary or
Obituary.
I can't remember.
Have you seen that?
I watched 20 minutes of it and got bored.
Okay. Well, that's what happens when you want to watch something fun.
Extraordinary. Is It Follows good?
It is. Yeah.
Have you both
I
seen
love
it?
I've
Is
seen
there
it,
something you haven't seen that you want to watch?
Martyrs.
That isn't Martyrs. Fucking, I don't want to watch Irreversible either. Can we find
That
something?
is not a horror movie.
But it has a pretty traumatic...
Horrifying.
Do you remember somebody's bright idea at the film club or something in IADT was to screen Irreversible? And they put up posters around the college with a screenshot of that scene.
I think I had left at that point.
So a screenshot of that scene,
Jesus
the name of the movie,
Christ.
screening in AO21 Monday at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m.
Yeah, that's not cool.
I'm sorry, whoever did that is a dickhead.
Yeah.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah. There were other, to begin with, there's other marketing items you could use if you really wanted to screen that film. But also, let's not screen that film. This is Shudder. What were you going to suggest, Brian, or...
There's one.
Fire
The House
Walk
of the Devil.
with Me. House of the Devil's good. I like that. Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me. That's kind of a horror. Kind of. House of the Devil is good though. It's very retro kind of horror movie.
Is that the one where people are trying to do a ghost house in a house?
No.
Okay, that's a different one.
House of the Devil is the
Desperate
one
to
with
make
the
some
babysitter.
money so she can move into a new apartment, college student Samantha Hughes takes a mysterious babysitting job when she arrives at the house.
I'm pretty sure you've
Mr.
seen it,
Ullman
Kev.
mentions a full lunar eclipse.
I recommended it
have
to
I?
you.
Yeah.
I
probably have.
think you have. Because I watched it years
I
ago on Netflix and I suggested you check it out.
Here's one. There's Treads from 1984, apocalyptic war drama set.
No. But yes. It's brutal.
It's meant to be pretty
It's
scary.
brutal. It's scary in the way that Chernobyl is scary. And it's brutal.
You've seen it though.
I haven't. I've read about it and it's awful. Good. No, it sounds deeply upsetting. But good. I don't think it's a film though. I think it was like a mini series, wasn't it? Or is it a film?
I can't remember, Brian. I never saw it.
I think it was a series, possibly.
There's a movie called Come and See. And
That's another sort of post-apocalyptic thing.
Hang on.
So what you were thinking of is Don't Breathe. Where does Ready or Not fall in? Have you seen that?
Ready or Not's very, very good.
Ready or Not's
but
good.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, it is a fun one.
It
is
scary.
fun.
But you've both seen it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is now Get Aidan to Watch Horror Movie Week.
I'm just looking at 200 best horror movies.
Fire in the Sky.
Have you seen it? Let's find something we haven't seen.
Fire in the Sky.
I haven't seen Fire in the Sky.
Fire in the Sky.
Have you seen Fire in the Sky?
Brian, that's not the horrible one about the Japanese torture things.
No. That's the
I'm not
that's the
watching
Men
that.
Behind the Sun, I think.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's the worst thing about that is all of that stuff happened. And
I know. I've listened to a podcast about it.
Brutal. Fire in the Sky is about alien abduction.
Have you seen it?
No.
Is that a lie?
No.
Is that a lie?
No. It's not. I'm not lying. I've seen the scene in it that I want ye to see.
Oh God. You're the only reason I've seen a person shot in the face. Like,
you would have seen that too.
I haven't found it since.
Only because you avoid it now is the thing. You would have seen it.
Have you seen Train to Busan?
No. I have not.
Kevin, have you seen Train to Busan?
No.
Can I suggest that then?
Yes.
You can.
Can that be this week's suggestion?
Vetoed, though.
What does that mean? Oh,
you
don't wanna
suggested. No, I'm joking. I said you can suggest to put him. Oh, no, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Yep.
I think that's something that's like, it's got a real high rating. I think audience will have seen it or will want to potentially see it. And I think
I love Korean films.
Yeah, I think Train to Busan is a good shout. Zombie movie, Korean, set in a train, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, 89% audience score. I think we get a little bit more obscure next week, but this week we go with the mainstream Korean zombie movie.
One of the main actors in it is going to be in The Eternals also.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Fantastic.